Be careful what you say because we're being recorded.
We will give people another minute or two, and then we will get rolling. Hello, Mr. Armstrong.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Good. Ryan, good to see you. Well, not see you. You should turn your video on, please.
All right. Yeah, Brooke and Joseph, you should do the same.
Wow, Bob, what a background you have today.
Well, it's for public consumption, Bill, so I had to clean it up from what they're used to seeing.
That makes sense. And you have a shirt on.
And I combed my hair too, Bill.
Both of them.
See what I get, Jackie?
And you must deserve everything you get, Bob.
I get no respect.
Alan, great to see you.
Thank you,
Everyone,
Blair.
if your video's not on, we encourage you to turn it on. No judgments here.
I'm not trying to avoid it. I just can't get the silly thing to slide over to where my camera is. So you're looking at the back of my head.
That may be the best side of your head, Bill. Or Rob.
That's not very nice.
We still have a few people who are being admitted, so we're going to give them just a minute, and then I will get us started.
Hello, Whitney.
Hi.
Hey, Bob. Hello, everybody.
Couldn't see
Hi,
you, Bob,
Brooke.
when you were talking.
Be nice to me, Bill, because Brooke is listening.
I'm always nice to you, Bob.
All right, everyone. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Blair Koch. I think most all of you know me, and Bob Dodge, and our most important person, Gina Beckman, who is behind the scenes admitting people, will be monitoring the chat room and whatnot. So today it is our pleasure to be able to bring Jackie Gernaey to you. Jackie is coming to us from Long Island, New York. We have known her for 16 plus years, so we're excited. She's one of my many mentors. Jackie is the CEO of SevenStar HR, and she really digs her heels in and works with small to mid-sized business owners to get their HR house in order, from hiring to employee manuals to training and whatnot. And today, Jackie is going to talk to us about hiring tips and tricks and the ways to not only get the best people to find them, but also how to onboard them and retain them. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Jackie, and we'll have all of you keep your video on, but please go ahead and mute. And then at the very end, we have a special giveaway for you all. So stay tuned, pay attention. Jackie.
Hi. So Blair, are we in a situation where they see my screen?
They do see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Then we're in good shape. So thank you, Blair. Just to let you guys know, SevenStar was founded to help small business owners not have to focus on all the government HR laws, which continue to grow and grow and grow, allowing the business leaders to focus on really growing their business, not having to deal with all those laws. In Colorado, you have some big law changes as of January 1st in the HR area. I will point out a few of these that pertain to hiring, but you really need to get HR help because the fines are catastrophic if you don't do what needs to be done with your employees. Blair is a Colorado partner of ours, so if you need HR help, please contact Blair. So let's get us started here. So the first thing you need to think about is the fact that you need to have a hiring process. And the effective hiring process is one that's been around for over 10 years and really works. It uses best of breed tools, which we are constantly updating. And although this is our process, I'm going to cover how you can use this process, even if you don't use us, to do it yourself in a manner that's going to help you achieve the best hiring and retention results that you can. So we use a 6-step hiring process, and that's what I'm really going to go through today. Okay, so the first step is preparation. And one of the things you need to understand when you're preparing for a hire is that everything you do in preparation is really marketing prep for getting this person into your business. You want applicants to take notice of your job and see themselves doing that job. So that's all what marketing would do. Usually you think of it in bringing business into the company, but it's also really necessary in bringing in applicants. So let's look at the very first thing, which are ads. And ads have really changed. In years past, ads were written to exclude people. If you can't do this, don't bother to apply. If you can't sell 14,000 widgets, whatever it is. But now, when you write an ad, you are really trying to convince someone that they are going to like being at your company. You can take some of the key responsibilities from your job description, but don't put the whole description in as an ad. Only put in the ad what will make the job sound interesting. What they will learn might be something. What types of clients your company serves, especially if they're cool ones. All about your great culture, which we hope you have. The pay and benefits. Now, I've highlighted the pay and benefits because you need to know that it is required the salary or salary range must be included in your ad as part of the new January 1st Colorado law. Okay, so that's very important. You want to make sure you give info that applicants want to know. You might want to put how many years you've been in business, interesting projects that you've done. If you're in manufacturing, equipment applicants will like using, any awards, accolades, that great work culture again. You know, I think I did one and it said, we have a fun committee at our company. Well, that would be something we want to put in an ad. Don't forget, this is marketing to get the most applicants. We'll worry about narrowing the applicants as we go forward here, and I'll discuss how that might be done. You want to make sure that you include the salary range, as we talked about. And if this is a new position, you're going to need to figure out what that range is. So we suggest you do use some of these sites to be able to figure out what salary range might be. Salary.com. If you're going to use it, make sure you're not asking for the high-level jobs, because it tends to be for bigger companies. Payscale.com is really good because it allows you to act as if this were your own job. And if you do that, it doesn't charge you. So there's no charge to get that information. And this salary range graph that you see is from Payscale. I've had many positions according to Payscale, so they don't care if you change multiple positions from an admin to a manufacturing person. Now that all ads must have salary ranges, you can also look at other ads to see what your competition is offering in salaries to people. So that's another way. Legally, you need to do a pay audit for each current job that you have to review and ensure equal pay. So if it's a current job and you are posting a higher salary level, you need to understand that equal pay is something that you need to handle. Okay, so you have a marketing brand, but you also need a hiring brand. Much can be the same, but you need to look at, does your website make someone think it would be great to work there? Do you have a LinkedIn company page? Does your LinkedIn profile reflect the great things about your company as well as others in your company? Candidates will be looking. You need to make sure that you have things under that look the same, that sound the same from all the people within LinkedIn. Have you reviewed the reviews about your company? What we do is we ask new hires, people that are excited to come into the company, to put a review of our hiring process on these sites. LinkedIn, Indeed has it, Glassdoor has it. Those are the two major sites. So put that in as part of your process. The next thing we suggest you do is develop key accountabilities for each job. Those 5 measurable things that if they do them well, you'll forgive them for whatever else they don't get done. You can actually go on our website, effectivehiring.com. Under the resources section, we have directions and a form filled document that you can use. Contact Blair. She uses great software to do these job benchmarks. And once you create the key accountabilities. You can then use that software, which will ask you questions to identify what the job requires at your company. So it could be different in other companies, about the in the way of behaviors, what drives them, and their attributes or soft skills. So the reason that you're going to do this is, again, to end up with what are the top 7 soft skills, what are the top 3 of the behavioral hierarchy, and the top 3 of what drives them, so that you have some idea. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what we're going to do with this, all this good information, when we get to talking about interviewing, which is of course part of the hiring. But doing those things in preparation are really important. Now, let's move to the next part. We need to get applicants. And to you, that's the most important part, because you can't get a hire until you get applicants. And in times past, before COVID, we had an especially difficult time getting applicants. And that's one thing we were doing in effective hiring, is all the tips and tricks we could to increase the number of candidates that applied. So the first thing we suggest you do is use an applicant tracking system, or ATS, as it's called in hiring jingo. It's going to save you time, because all candidates are quickly reviewed in one location. You're not going to have resumes piled up on multiple people's desks or in their email boxes if you're remote. And then what it allows is finding the best candidate through a search option that allows you to quickly sift through all the resumes. I always say, if you had 100 people apply, and we are getting jobs with 100 people applying, and the one you really want to hire is number 100, you certainly don't want to start reviewing the number of the candidates starting at number 1, right? Because by the time you get to number 100, they might have taken a job someplace else. The other thing an ATS does is it really has collaboration tools to keep all of the discussions between managers. If you're having discussions with multiple people in one place, you can also put together an interview guide so that all applicants are asked the same questions. This is a legal requirement that you may or may not even know about, but you should be asking everyone the same thing. That way they can't say, well, this person was pink with purple polka dots, so I only asked them question 1. It also allows you to set up a custom workflow, automate the emails that go out, will allow texting to candidates. It gets more and more important as you get into the texting generation, if you're hiring people from the texting generation. And the other thing that's really important is that it should allow applicants to apply via their phone. We're finding really about 40% of applicants now come in through a phone ad. So you want to make sure that that's a possibility. The posting using an applicant tracking system is done very easily it will post automatically to many job boards, and you want to use many job boards. Many people are stuck with Indeed. Indeed is the big gorilla relative to posting, but there are many other places that you're going to get people depending on the type of job. Dice for IT, ZipRecruiter gets really great people for us. And then you've got other things like the job.com, which comes from Google, and you will get things from Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. All of these, instead of having to pay for them, come in at no charge. One of the things that you also should be doing is tying your ad to your LinkedIn and Facebook company pages and to your website, and you want to include SEO terminology and phrases so that if someone just does a native search on Google, that your ad comes up as well without them really having to look for it. We also suggest passive techniques, and let me explain this. Active in this case are people that are really looking for a job. So you also want to hit people that aren't looking for a job, that already have jobs. You know, we all would prefer to hire somebody who has a job rather than somebody who doesn't. Whether that in this case is really the true better thing, I'm not sure. But let me talk a little bit about one of these things, programmatic. This sounds like a word that you may not have been involved in, and in actuality, most of you are involved in programmatic. If you've ever gone online and looked at it for a pair of shoes, and then later on you're searching for something else, and all the ads are about shoes, that is a programmatic marketing. This, in fact, is programmatic for hiring, and it's a software method where it actually, if you're going to, and you may have heard of sponsoring Indeed or paying for Indeed, or some of the other ones, ZipRecruiter has a paid area. This allows your spend not to go directly to Indeed, but also many others. And it moves the money around based on what is performing the best to get you applicants. I don't know if you know, I mean, years ago, we used to be able to post directly on a sponsored Indeed for a couple $100. Now it's somewhere between $600 and $700 to get you to the top of the list, and that's only for a short time. So programmatic allows us to move money in and out. And there are many companies that through which you can get programmatic. Databases. So we use, and you can buy these two directly, a ZipRecruiter database and Indeed database. You can also build your own database in your applicant tracking system if you're doing a lot of hiring. I know I have people that hire for seasonal, and they only keep them on seasonally. Well, they want to be able to go back to those people, so they have developed a database for this. And what you actually do is we search on that database for candidates in particular. So that's a passive way. These people may or may not be looking for a position. There's some other ways to increase your pool. If you amplify diversity and you post in different places, Some of them we have I Hire Military, for example, where you get people that are veterans. So that's something that you could do. You can also, in this day and age, you can expand where you're looking. If it means that somebody is remote, and if you are in a location that doesn't have that type of person, you can expand your search as well to a different area if you don't mind that they are remote. And the last thing is for hard place jobs, really it's important to think about what we call upskilling good employees. So you've got somebody that's worked for you, done a good job, loyal, has the right, all the great culture fit. What you might want to do is consider getting them the training, getting them skilled to be able to take that job, which might allow you to hire a lower level job rather than that very hard to place job. So those are our suggestions for increasing the number of applicants. The next thing, you've got the applicants. Okay, great. We've sorted them, and now what's going to happen is you need to you need to interview them. So what we find with business owners often is they hire on skills and they fire on attitude. So what we want to do is make sure that in fact you are hiring on attitude, focusing not on as much on their technical competence, but as their behavioral style, their motivation, and hire on a behavioral fit. And when we talked about when we talked about the job benchmark, one of the things that we talked about was having the behavioral interview questions. And here's an example of a behavioral interview question that came from a job benchmark and this one was personal accountability. So when you complete that job benchmark, you actually will get a list of questions that you can customize to your own company's terminology, or gives you a different types of things that you can interview on. So this is really important, and the reason it's really important is that interviewees should spend 80% of the time talking in an interview. This is, I know we've talked about you selling them, but what you should not be doing is talking to sell them on the position. You need to be convincing them by asking questions rather than you do the talking. You need to be open and honest about what it's going to be like to work for your company. You know, I think there's a huge percentage of people who start in a company and leave within the first 90 days saying, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So obviously you don't want to tell them you're going to have to be filing 80% of your time. Hopefully you can not have that, but you still want to be honest and say, we do have filing. You want to assure them, especially in this time, of workplace safety, that you take it very seriously and what it's going to be like, etc. You want to make sure that you hire on, I said hire on attitude, but you also want to hire on whether this person can help you achieve your vision. When you are in person and doing an interview, please don't do it across the desk. That doesn't give the right feel. You go across to two sides of the desk, go to a conference room where it's equal level stature. You want to be them not feeling that this is a parent to child interview, but it's adult to adult interview. Okay. So now you've gotten them hired. So keeping them, that now is the trick. And of course, with the onboarding is probably even more tricky if you're hiring now and you're virtual. So I'll talk a little bit about that because that's probably one of the most difficult. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are using scheduled video meetings. You want to make sure you introduce them to their team, no different than if they were in person. If you're in person, you still want to do this. You want to make sure that the CEO, president, you welcome them to the team. You want to make them feel like, oh, this is a good place. You know, what we often do when we talk about onboarding, I don't know if you've ever seen those glasses that are all prisms, where we will say to someone, here, put these on, and now try to do this little puzzle. And what we say is, this is exactly what a new hire sees when they come to your company. They don't know how to do anything. They don't know who, what, where, when, or why. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to integrate them into the team. Introduce them to others in the company, telling how they are going to interact with each other. Utilize, if you have managers in your company, make sure you utilize the managers to talk about what the team is. Have them understand the company vision and what their role might be in the company vision in achieving it. So I found this, and this is a really interesting thing to keep in mind when you're trying to onboard someone new into your company. Really, what these biggest struggles, loneliness, collaborating and communication, staying motivated, even finding reliable Wi-Fi. Maybe they're not able to do to that within their organization. So you want to make sure that when you onboard someone, you keep in mind that these things are going on, and you want to do everything you can to help communication and collaboration. So digitize and is what we say is the best way of doing this. If you can get this automated onboarding, that's absolutely fantastic. And we have one, but other people have onboarding software. And this goes beyond just the onboarding that comes from your payroll company, which is signing form fill documents, which is really something that you do need to do from a compliance standpoint. But you also want to make sure you maybe send out your handbook or send out training videos. And you're going to want to make sure that you can customize this so that you create tasks not only for the new person, but also for your staff with assignments. You're going to have a virtual lunch with this person, or if you're in person, you're going to take them out to lunch. Setting up the reminders and sending required reading, letting them understand really what are the acronyms, for example. That's always a good one when we talk about acronyms within a new company. Think up fun things to build and integrate them to the team. Some of the things that I've had other people do are tastings, tea versus coffee and different kinds of chocolate tasting, team building bingo. I don't think you can read one, but here's one: spotted a pet in the background of a video meeting. You know, so my cats occasionally walk in front if I didn't have the door closed, locking them out. So those kind of things. A pet's Slack channel. Slack, I don't know if you know what that is, but it is a group chat channel. So everybody could post pictures of their pets, for example. Guess the emoji. What does this emoji? Anything that is fun that can kind of get them laughing. I've also seen here are 3 things, which one is a lie, 2 truths and a lie, that people can put in, and then people guess which one is the lie. So whatever you can, that is fun. Make sure that you make them welcome in other ways. Branded company materials. If you do have branded company materials and you're virtual, mail some to them. Get them mailed. Menus from local restaurants where they might want to have lunch if you're on site, so they can feel that they're integrated into the surroundings. A functional org chart. Now that doesn't mean just the names of the people who report to people, but what are the functions? Who do I go to get such and such done? How's that all work? And then we really suggest that you set up a mentor for each person. They have their boss, that's great, but having someone to go to ask what they think might be a stupid question is a really great thing to do to make them feel welcome. Okay, so questions that anybody might have.
So you can put your questions in chat or shout them out. We do have one in chat already. Bill Armstrong, you want to put your question out there, please? You're going to have to unmute yourself, Bill.
Yeah, so I typed it in there, but I asked, as a result of COVID, have you seen an increase in people looking for jobs, and I guess really a larger, more qualified applicant pool?
Yes and no. So let me explain that. For quite a while we were paying people an extra $600 a week to stay home, the applicant pool was just as difficult because, especially in lower level jobs, because you could not find people that you didn't have a job that was going to make as much as staying at home. So that made it difficult for you to compete. Actually, in some of the higher level jobs, yes, I think medium and higher level jobs that the unemployment is not going to meet their salary levels. I think there has been an increase in the number of applicants, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Who else has a question? Guys are super quiet. Well, I will ask one. So Jackie, one of the things I have been suggesting to some people who are hiring is to have their applicants submit a quote unquote video cover letter. So basically 2 to 3 minutes where they're talking about a little bit about their background, why they want to work at your company, and some of their skills, because it's a little bit harder to lie, so to speak, in a video than on paper. So I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
So you've got to be very careful with video. And the reason you have to be careful with video is it does open you up to a potential, I don't like this person because they're pink with purple polka dots, which is my definition always. And so you need to be really careful about video. I think that doing virtual interviews with them is probably, at least you with a guided, this is what the questions are and here are what the answers were, give you a little better legal stance, Blair, if you get a discrimination, you didn't hire me because I am pink with purple polka dots. So that's kind of my thought. I think it's a great idea, but I think you're at risk.
Okay, thank you. Ryan.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So I think it was last week or the week before, I sat in on a seminar with the Longmont Chamber of Commerce, and they went on a discussion about some kind of requirement for posting things like promotional opportunities within your company, both internally and externally, as available positions. I don't remember what legislation that was part of specifically, if it was their Comps 37 or their HFWA policy or where that came from exactly, but we had a pretty extensive conversation about maintaining any kind of promotional opportunity needs to be posted at least internally as a mutually accessible opportunity for promotion. Do you have any recommendations on how to operate an internal job board system or anything like that?
So you're absolutely right, Ryan. The law in Colorado states that you must, on the same day, post that you post externally. If you're going to post on Indeed, you must post internally in your company. They don't give any guidance as to where or how. They leave that up to you. You can put it on the company website, even if you wanted to, as part of your, and just tell people we've posted this on the company website. Again, on the website, it must have the salary range, and just like it would in the ad. So that's absolutely a requirement. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of dig into that just a little deeper, so part of their definition of a promotional opportunity was also a change in job duties. Do you have any opinion on how granular that gets? Because obviously you can have minor changes in job duties and then perhaps more major changes in job duties. What constitutes an actual promotional opportunity?
So most often promotional opportunities come with an increase in salary, okay, right, is generally the definition. But if you looked at the, it can be just an increase in benefits as well. So it doesn't have to be a salary deal. You know, I gave a presentation in Colorado actually this week on the these new laws and this isn't the only one, so I really do advise you get some HR help, because it's way beyond hiring that you have to do, and includes really what's going on with the people within your company. Do you have 5 people doing the same job? Are 3 of them women and 2 of them men? And are the women earning more than the men? Well, then you need to be able to really differentiate why that is, because that it defines. When we were on with an attorney, are heinous. They're just really awful fines. They are really serious about promoting equal pay for equal work. And one of the things I often suggest to people, because what happens usually is when you go to hire someone, you may find that the people you already have are making less than what it takes you to find someone. And now you're sitting there going, oh my goodness, I have to post this job. Everyone's going to see what this is. And then once you do, if you can't differentiate between what they're doing and what this posted job is, you're going to need to raise all of their salaries to that level. So what might you do? I suggest what we call salary banding. So you say, let's just take customer service. Customer service level 1, 2, 3, how many ever levels you want. And the duties are different, or what the knowledge is different. Customer service 3 gets bigger customers. Customer service 1 just gets the little guys, or these products versus 3 gets these bigger products that cost more money. And then you have the ability to say, okay, I'm going to pay, this new person is going to be customer service 3 versus the person that's in there is customer service 1. And then you have the opportunity that they can even have a path, Ryan, to grow in their job to become a customer service 3. And so that's usually what I see when we're doing this kind of thing and hiring, that really gets business owners who've had always the thought that their employees should not share with each other what their salary is, even though for the most part what we've found is everybody seems to know. So people are talking regardless of whether we as business owners like that or not.
And just as a quick side note, we do have an HR labor attorney joining us here at BizSense. If you go to the very top of the chat box, you'll see a calendar. Go ahead and download that, and it's got all of the links to register, for any of the events, including the one with our labor attorney. So just a side note for everybody.
Larry, you want to repost that, because I'm not sure that it got caught when everybody was on.
Fair enough. We will repost it. Joseph, you had a question.
Yeah, thanks. So Jacqueline, you mentioned that there were a number of significant changes to the laws in Colorado this year as it relates to hiring. Could you share, so you've mentioned about the salary range needing to be listed in the application.
And the posting, and the posting. And those are the 2 big ones related to hiring, but then it expands to the equal pay, which is the next situation that you need to do. And of course, equal pay expands to, you need to make sure the job descriptions are done appropriately, which expands to, you need to have your state how you, all of the processes that you take in your HR employee handbook. I think the thing that all of you need to realize is if you end up in DOL court for whatever reason, and DOL court is a big pain for business owners, and it's a pain because the employee does not pay, but you have to pay to get a lawyer or to defend you or run the risk of going in yourself. So one of the two things that you really need to have in order to protect yourself are job descriptions for your employees and an employee handbook. Because I can assure you, if you go to court, the first two things they're going to ask you is, what does the handbook say and what does their job description say? So those are, as I say, the first line of defense. The other law that is has to do with paid time off that is beyond what we're talking about today, but it has a huge impact on you and how you need to manage paid time off versus vacation versus sick time, etc. So, and has some minimum requirements that you must provide every employee. So you want to get that information, sign up for the, as Blair said, for the labor attorney, and make sure that she covers that particular part of the law, new laws.
Jackie, I wonder if you could comment on a couple of things that have come up in board meetings.
Sure.
You've interviewed the person, you think they're going to be a good fit, but you just want to validate it. So I remember in one of my very first job interviews, it was, here, sell me this pencil. And I didn't know what to do, but the little validation, if you're in construction, I want you to go hang that door, or if you're in the computer technician world, go find the problem with the computer that we put in there and fix it, which would validate their skills. On the other hand, if you're looking to validate communication styles, oftentimes, I really like this one. I want you to send me something that tells me why you think you'd be a good fit for this job. And you don't tell them when or how long, but you'll get a good sense of their communication style if you ask them to do that. I wonder if you'd comment on those little things.
Sure. So, yes, I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I talked about the benchmark and the interviewing, but actually validating is a really good thing. There are assessments that will validate the behavioral style. You have said the job requires the driving, and behavioral is a little easier to see and evaluate without doing an assessment. But what drives them, I mean, you want a salesperson to be driven by money. That's something you want to do, right? So, and that's not something you can see. And then also their soft skills. Are they a team player or that kind of thing? So you can assess those. Beyond that, we usually recommend, and we do screen with something we call Wonderlic, which is intelligence based on how quickly you can learn. So I think that's my first screen. I can teach pretty much anybody if they're smart. So that's kind of my thought on where you start with assessments. And then I do think, Bob, when you get down to it, the skills you were talking about, hard skills. Can you hang that door? Can you proof this? Can you set up an Excel spreadsheet? All of those are considered hard skills, and you do really need to include those towards the end of the hiring process.
Great. We have time for maybe one more question to Max. Anybody have any other questions? Awesome. So just a couple of things before we wrap up. Jackie, thank you so much. That was absolutely fabulous. Tons of new stuff learned. So as we shared at the beginning, we do have a value add for everybody who's attending today, and that is a complimentary HR MRI diagnostic. So what is this? So if you think about an MRI, it takes a look at a particular area of your body. So what we're going to do with the HR MRI is we're going to take an in-depth look at your HR function and understand how compliant you are, identify areas where you have a lot of exposure from a legal perspective, kind of medium exposure, and those that are less exposed. So it's a really great tool. We had one example is somebody completed it and there was quite a few red flags and the company didn't have an employee manual. So just by putting an employee manual in place, and he's got multilingual employees, that like solved a whole bunch for him in terms of making him more compliant from a legal perspective. And of course, it's better for your employees. So we will be sending out this link for you. We strongly encourage you to take it, and then you'll be hearing from Bob or I, and we will get you debriefed on it and show you some areas where you can improve. So that's number one. Number two, in the chat box, we did repost the calendar for the rest of the year. You can go ahead and register. And we also have posted a link for our March event with economist Patty Silverstein. She's always a tremendous speaker. She talks a lot about not just the world economy, but really deep dives into Colorado and our territory. So there's a lot to share, especially after 2020 and everything that's happened there. There was a lot going on. So we encourage you to please go ahead and register now. We'll then send you an invite with all of the information. That's what we have. Any final comments or questions?
Just for me, Blair, thank you for having me and all of you who came for listening. And good luck.
Thank you, Jackie. Welcome to Colorado. Fabulous. Well, everyone, we have loved having you. We will see you next month for our economist, and then we have things just about every month this year. So thanks again. We will get those links for the assessment out. And if you have any questions or thoughts or anything, please feel free to reach out to Bob or I. And with that, we will let you get to lunch.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Stay warm.